someone who has seen firsthand how this is impacting our nation's veterans. John Soltz, he's the chairman of VoteVets.org, a group that gives a voice to hundreds of thousands of veterans across the country. John, VoteVets put out an ad on this very issue, and I want to share a bit of it.
Today and every single workday, 330,000 veterans are due a prescription drug delivery by the U.S. Postal Service. And today, tens of thousands aren't getting their prescriptions because Donald Trump declared war on the mail, firing workers, disrupting deliveries, defunding operations.
Why are you getting involved in this fight? Have you heard directly from members of VoteVets about these slowdowns?
We have so many veterans reaching out to us with stories about delayed prescriptions coming in the mail that it's very concerning from a human standpoint, from an American standpoint, that people that fought for our country would essentially, have their lives put at stake over a political football and the desire of the president to undermine the election. And that's the root of the issue. I will tell you also that VoteVets has been involved in the Postal Service issues for many, many years. There's 100,000 veterans that work at the Postal Service. There's 330,000 veterans that receive prescriptions from the Postal Service. And right now, obviously, we're taking on this president because he's destroying an American institution that takes care of the people that have taken care of us. And it's absolutely unconscionable to do that, to try to somehow stay in power by delegitimizing the election.
And what do you say to critics that say, oh, VoteVets, you're just a group that's against the president no matter what?
I think facts matter, and we represent the voice of veterans who are messaging out saying, I didn't get my cholesterol medicine. Everybody wants to do 22 push-ups on Facebook, yet a lot of our veterans rely on antidepressants from the Department of Veterans Affairs. And I would love to tell you that we're in a position in this country right now where we can debate tax policy or some of the more basic issues that we've fought with Republicans over the years. But right now, we're in a posture where this president is destroying the institutions that protect American democracy. Some of the big challenges we learned in Iraq and Afghanistan, why we're having such a hard time building democracy. And the Postal Service is something that enables this country to have a democratic process. And so this is a very critical moment that's even larger than partisan Democrat-Republican politics.
Let's talk about that, the threat to our institutions, because in a new op-ed, Admiral Bill McRaven argues it's not just the post office. He says the president is trying to undermine every major U.S. institution. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. There's hardware and software to every democracy. And, in Iraq, we held weapons on the street and people went to vote in 2005 and they held up the blue thumb. And, we can have a vote, but do you have the software? Do you have political parties? Do you have the press? Do you have institutions like the Department of Justice or the Federal Elections Commission to support a democratic process? And I think what's at stake here in 10 weeks is the absolute fabric of our democracy. Our military has fought to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. This president is an enemy of the Constitution right now who's threatening American democracy. And it's certainly, in my lifetime, the most important election because I would love to get back to arguing about issues rather than protecting the Constitution of the United States.
Well, you've got some solutions or ideas around the Postal Service. You say there are 3 major issues with the USPS, and they do need to be addressed. What do you think the solution is?
Well, I think first we've been on defense with USPS. So I think, the conversation needs to be how do we make the USPS stronger? There's a lot of, policy proposals out there to keep 6-day work weeks. There's things out there to do banking in rural America that would allow people that are in areas where, banks aren't as accessible to use the Postal Service for those ways. So I think the large question is how do we strengthen the Postal Service, not weaken it? And what we've seen from this president is an attempt to weaken the Postal Service. And, I think he's looking at the same poll numbers we are. We've spent $17 million this election, and veterans and rural voters are a constituency this president wants. And we can see in the data over the weekend how bad this issue is. Which is why he went bonkers on Twitter and now somehow trying to blame it on Democrats. So, the policies we want is to strengthen the system, not just prevent weakening it. And we'll see, the proof is in the pudding from the Postmaster General, but I would not take his word at all to just stop what he's done. We need to correct the damage. And, if he's fired by the end of the day, I wouldn't have a problem with that either.
All right, John, thank you so much for joining me this morning. I appreciate it, and I appreciate you speaking on behalf of all of those veterans, American heroes.